Hi, and welcome to Cenario, your partner in mental wellness. Here on our channel, we share educational, insightful, and science-backed content to help you understand your mental health and take meaningful steps toward a more balanced life. If you're ready to learn, grow, and take control of your wellness journey, let's jump right in.
Today, we're diving into something that so many people deal with, that feeling of persistent anxiety. And we're going to explore a connection you might have never, ever considered, one that's less about stress management and more about our basic fundamental biology. Does this sound like you? You know, you're doing everything you're supposed to. You're trying therapy, you're doing the mindfulness apps, you're exercising, but that hum of anxiety in the background just doesn't go away. It is so frustrating, and it makes you feel like you must be missing something, right? Well, what if you are? What if the answer isn't just in our thoughts or our habits, but it's actually something physiological? We're going to make a little shift here and look at a key piece of the mental health puzzle that might literally be in your blood, fueling your brain, or not. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with the surprising link itself. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how iron actually works in your brain. We'll look at the science, talk about why finding the right balance is so important, and then lay out a safe action plan. And of course, we'll wrap up with the key takeaways.
Okay, let's just get right to it. The nutrient we're zeroing in on is iron. Yeah, iron. We usually think of it when we talk about energy, being tired, but its role in our emotional stability and mental clarity is huge, and honestly, it's almost always overlooked. Now, this right here is probably the most important myth we need to bust. So many people, and even some doctors, think, well, my blood count is normal, so I can't be iron deficient. But that's just not true. The science is really clear on this. You can feel anxious, you can have that awful brain fog, and be totally exhausted long before your iron levels ever drop low enough to be called anemia. That distinction is everything.
So how does this actually work? What is iron even doing up there in the brain? Let's get into the biological nuts and bolts for a second.
Think of iron as a multitasking superstar for your brain. Its job one is carrying oxygen, and your brain is an oxygen hog and needs a ton of it. Iron is also essential for creating energy inside your brain cells, and here's the big one. It is a crucial building block for making neurotransmitters, especially dopamine, which is tied to focus, motivation, and mood. It even helps regulate sleep. So when you don't have enough iron, any of these systems can go haywire, and it's no wonder your brain starts to feel, well, anxious.
And this brings us to the most important word you'll hear today, ferritin. The easiest way to think about ferritin is that it's your body's iron storage tank. A regular blood test might look at the iron floating around in your blood right now, but a ferritin test tells you how much you have in reserve. When your ferritin is low, it's the very first warning sign that your tank is getting empty, way before you'd notice it anywhere else.
This really shows you how it all works. Iron deficiency isn't like a light switch that's just on or off. It's a spectrum. Those anxiety symptoms, they can start all the way back here in step 1, when your storage tank, your ferritin, is low, even if your main blood work looks totally fine. You don't have to wait until you hit step 3, full-blown anemia, to feel the consequences in your brain.
Okay, so the biology makes sense, right? But what does the actual research say? Let's look at the hard data, because it's one thing for two things to be correlated, it's another for one to be a potential cause.
This is pretty incredible. Big genetic studies, which are one of our best tools for hinting at cause and effect, found a real link. For every significant jump up in a person's iron levels, their risk of anxiety dropped by about 8%. That's a huge clue that this isn't just some random coincidence.
And get this, in a clinical trial where they took people with low ferritin and corrected it, 60% of them, a clear majority, actually saw their anxiety symptoms go into remission. Now, it's not a silver bullet, it didn't work for everyone, but for 6 out of 10 people in that group, fixing the iron deficiency was the key that made the difference. That's powerful.
But, and this is a really big but, this is not a situation where more is better. Not at all. In fact, when it comes to iron, we're dealing with something called a U-shaped risk curve. You've got to find the balance.
So here's that balancing act in a nutshell. On the one side of the U, you've got too little iron. Your brain is starved, you get brain fog, and you feel anxious. But on the other side, too much iron is actually toxic. It creates inflammation and oxidative stress, which can also make your mood worse. The goal is that sweet spot in the middle, balance, not just mindlessly trying to get more. And this is exactly why you should never, ever supplement with iron without getting tested first.
Okay, so knowing all that, how can you figure this out for yourself, safely and effectively?
This next part is all about giving you the tools you need to have a really smart, informed conversation with your doctor.
To get the full story on your iron status, you need more than just a basic blood count. You need to ask for a full iron panel. That means ferritin, to check your storage tank; hemoglobin, to check for anemia; transferrin saturation, to see how much iron is ready to be used; and, pro tip, ask for a C-reactive protein, or CRP test. That checks for inflammation, because inflammation can actually make your ferritin look falsely high.
Now, if you find out you are deficient, there are basically two ways to fix it. For most people with mild or moderate deficiency, oral iron supplements are the way to go. You take them at home, usually with some vitamin C to help you absorb it better. IV iron is really for more severe cases, or for people whose bodies just can't absorb iron from pills. And that's always done in a clinic under supervision.
And this part is absolutely non-negotiable for your safety. You have to monitor your progress. You take the dose your doctor prescribes, then you go back and get your blood rechecked in about 8 to 12 weeks to see how you're responding. Once you hit that sweet spot, you and your doctor will adjust the dose or stop the treatment. This is about correcting a problem. It's not meant to be a supplement you take forever.
Whew, okay, that was a lot of information, I know. So let's boil it all down and make sure we lock in the most important things to remember from all this. Here are the big takeaways. Number 1, test, don't guess. Please. Remember, those anxiety symptoms can pop up way before you're ever diagnosed with anemia. 3, the goal is always that healthy balance, not just cramming in as much iron as possible. For the right person, fixing a deficiency can be an absolute game changer, a really powerful piece of the mental health puzzle. And last but most important, always do this with a doctor or a qualified healthcare provider.
So I'll leave you with this. Now that you have this information, you can look at your own health in a new way. You can be your own best advocate. So think about it. What's one new question you can bring to the table to help solve your own personal health puzzle? Thanks for digging into this with me.
Thank you for watching Cenario. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For personalized mental wellness supplements, visit Cenario.com.